bringing you another video. And wow, what a night. I felt like perhaps my last community post was maybe a little bit tone deaf because, last night, Thursday, me and my husband, we kind of had like a little date night and we went to see that new Nicolas Cage movie. Um, and the rumors about the suited content creator were still rumors. And I know that I think maybe a couple days ago, last week, I had uploaded like a live, but then I had taken it down. But anyway, in the live, I was talking about um, Black women being content creators who were being doxxed, who were just having straight up assaults on their mental health by using YouTube platforms, and people who would use these things behind the scenes, being very critical of content creators who I have a lot of respect for. And I took that video down for that reason because I felt like they should have told their side of the story and they should have relayed their experience instead of it being like a secondhand account of what I heard them say. So the reason why I took that video down was in order to respect those women and their side of the story. Because once you recount and retell someone's story, in my opinion, it starts borderlining on gossip as opposed to directing people to those platforms where they can talk about their own experience because I can't possibly relay those things. So, and just know that those content creators, I have a lot of respect for you and I have um I stand in solidarity with you because I feel that you ladies make amazing points when it comes to how responsible we need to be on this platform. So I'll be sure to leave the links to those content creators who have experienced this, um, and I have heard give those accounts. So again, just so you ladies know that you can listen to their side of the story. All right. And now, another part of that video too was I talked about chronic illness in the Black community and how we're seeing the generation that kind of grew on the chronic, right, are now becoming chronically ill. Um, we're just having an increasing number of Black men in their 50s who are dying. And thank you, Lady Daydream. You're a great content creator. Who are dying. We're seeing for the past 15 years, we're seeing a decline in Black male life expectancy. And that's really sad. That's sad to me. Um, because the same way Black women are marginalized as far as their reproductive health, the same way Black men are marginalized as far as their cardiac health. I see it time and time again in emergency rooms where a man would come in knowing that that they are uh, they're a smoker or that something in their labs are a little bit off as far as like that might prove that they were a drinker. And then as a result, there are other labs we don't run, right? There are referrals that we don't make because they came in, and a lot of times they do use emergency room urgent care more than they go to primary care. Um, we don't we don't go above and beyond to serve as that gap. And I can definitely testify to the fact that during the pandemic, for sure, when a guy came in and his checks rate came back like, okay, this guy's clearly a smoker. It doesn't matter what he's smoking, but he's clearly a smoker. And his chest x-ray looked really bad. And he had no family. We were already very short staffed and we had very limited resources. And because, excuse me, that person had no advocacy, they would fall down on the list of priorities. And that's no cap. That's nothing I'm proud to say. But when someone comes in unaccompanied and chronically and already with an underlying chronic illness, nobody prioritizes that person, right? They'll come in for a cough and then 2 weeks later you'll try to round up and scrounge up family members to make a call to make arrangements because they're on life support at the end of life. And yeah, that happens a lot to Black men, a lot, a lot. It happens to them a lot. So Every single time my dad has a doctor's appointment, one of us goes with him because he has to look like he has advocacy. We make it a point to prioritize him, um, being seen by primary care and following up. We have to show compliance with prescriptions because if not, he's going to get ignored and he's going to get put by the wayside. And a lot of times happens with black men. And a lot of times they're dying of very, very, very preventable illnesses. I mean, I've had men die of septic shock from tooth decay, right? Tooth decay, and ended up getting septic. Like they're meaning that it got infected and then that infection spread through their bloodstream. Epididymitis is another one, which is an infection from either a urinary tract infection or sometimes an STD that goes unchecked. And these guys are in their early to mid 50s, very similar to the suited content creator, like um, early to the mid 50s. And they might have, like the suited content creator, Rolex watches or nice clothes and cars, but no health insurance, no medical power of attorney, but they had a big, but yet they had, a lot of casual acquaintances, but no medical power of attorney or no one close enough to pick up their prescriptions or give them a ride to follow-up visits or doctor appointments after they leave the emergency room. And then as a result, they end up dying. My dad actually had a friend who was in his 70s and loved being around younger women. He lost his friend during the pandemic, not as a result of COVID, but he loved being around younger women, and somehow some younger woman took him for all he had, and he was on a blood thinner, like a Plavix prescription for AFib for blood clots. So here this man is in his 70s, and he's not allowed to come into the doctor's office. They're like, "Oh, we'll set up a telemedicine visit with you so we can get your and kind of like mail order your blood work type thing. Have somebody come to the house, get your blood work, whatever." And um yeah, it was just like if somebody was going to get his blood work and do a telemedicine visit, but somebody in their 70s is really not going to be very equipped for telemedicine. As a result, his prescription lapsed. He threw a blood clot and died. Um, but ne- never really. And his mother was in her 90s. So y- you see these men who are in their 50s and 60s. Their mothers are in their 70s and 80s, or their mothers are in their 70s and 80s, and really can't really take care of them. And, even though we don't get married in order to have someone advocate for us, right? We don't make friends or treat our children well in order to have advocates in our elder years. That's not the only reason why we do it, but it certainly is the reality of why we should do it, right? We should be good to our children and our friends and our family and our brothers and our sisters so we can. I mean, my older sister is single, but she's never gone to a doctor's appointment alone. You know, she always has one of us or a soror or someone go with her because we understand the realities of the medical system. And speaking of that, you know, I know they like to say that black women take no accountability, but I'm going to say that how proud I am of you, black women, when it comes to uh, our own reproductive health. Shout out to content creators like Brown Skin Girls and Lock Honey Princess who've been just posting all of these graduations, the medical school graduations of black women from all around the country, and that is so encouraging. I know with me being an advanced practice nurse, I have to take um, continuing education credits. And I will admit that I'm not great with chronic disease management because I've spent so much of my career in the emergency room and urgent care and emergency surgery. I don't have a lot of chronic disease management. And I also don't have, even though I'm an FMP, a family nurse, I don't spend a lot of time with like maternal child health. It's almost usually always adult urgent care, adult emergency care. So this year I decided to make sure that my CEUs were more in the maternal child health region. And thank God that I did. Thank God that I did. Well, I was so encouraged to see how many black women who were in school to be OBGYNs, in school to be FNPs, NNPs, neonatal nurse practitioners, family nurse practitioners, pediatric nurse practitioners, obstetrical RNs, even those of ladies who were nurses aides and licensed vocational nurses who are going to be continuing their education to get more proficient in maternal child health, knowing what's happening with the Black women, knowing what's happening with Black women and wanting to play a larger role. More of us becoming doulas and talking about hiring doulas and having that advocacy so we're not alone in doctor's appointments or in hospitalizations and do understand our responsibilities when it comes to home birth. So thank you, ladies, who've all stepped up to just educate yourselves and then to educate those of us in the healthcare system on how we can just do a better job. Like I now know if a pregnant woman comes in to not just call OB and sit there, like, hey, let me draw a urine and see how much protein is in it because I could possibly help someone. I could possibly help someone if I get a good protein in the urine and I because Black women are more susceptible to preeclampsia. And that's just something I can do if I see them coming and not just like, oh, this is for OB. Let me go call them and not touch the case, and that possibly I can get a specific gravity and run fluids. Like there are things that I can do at my level. And just now knowing what it is I can do, I'm I feel more competent. I feel more competent. There are certain things that I probably won't do. I probably won't. I can at least plug in the ultrasound. You know what I mean? I can at least, you know, call sonography and put in the consult. I can at least. There's small things I can do if a pregnant woman were to arrive in the emergency room that I wouldn't have known to do before. And I'm so grateful for the Black women who educated me on that. And I'm gonna let you ladies know. Uh, Everybody's counting on you coming. Everybody knows y'all are coming. It's very interesting because a lot of the Indian girls, y'all got them on notice. A lot of them are starting to really think about internal medicine and hematology now because they know Black girls got next in OBGYN. They know that Black girls got next in maternal child health, from pediatrics to obstetrics to neonatal nursing and neonatal medicine, perinatal medicine. So yeah, shout out to you ladies. So you've definitely taken accountability and heeded the call. And with that being said, this is what I am going to say to you ladies. Uh, the changes in legislation and the possible rollback of Roe versus Wade. I made a point on my community tab to repost my birth control video. Um, so good morning to all you ladies entering the chat. I made it a point to repost my birth control video. Okay, it's in my on my community tab, and a lot of that information is pertinent. But this is what I will say: I know that a lot of women have made the decision to stay abstinent, and thank you for sharing that video. Um, to stay abstinent, and even if you are abstinent, ladies, here is my charge to you: still get a prescription for birth control. Here's what I foresee happening. What I foresee happening are going to be things like drug recalls, supply chain issues. It's going to be a lot more challenging to get appointments when you actually need one. So make those appointments now and get a pharmacy that will give you a 90-day supply now. Okay, even if you're not going to use it, check the expiration date, make sure it's still good, because let me tell you something, when these drug recalls, I know that there is a large amount of irresponsibility when it comes to sexual practices in our community. But what I also want to let you know that when it comes to terminations, okay, it turns out that one in every three women seeking a termination was on some kind of birth control within that 28-day cycle. So some of them can last up to 2 years. Some of them can be good up to 2 years. So again, also too, not just pills. Some of those of you who want to do the hormone-free route, this might be the perfect time to really ask about things like your diaphragms, cervical caps, things like that, simply because you want to start familiarizing yourself with how to put it in, take it out. If you need something that's made of a different material, this is a chance to be critical of it right now when you don't need it. When you really don't need it is the time when you really want to start practicing with it. And because one of the things I said in the video was our lack of familiarity with our vaginal fornix. And that is going to be instrumental in some of you ladies who want to choose a more hormone-free birth control option. You also want to be very critical and very scrutinizing of your own medical history when it comes to things like keloid, psoriasis, eczema, because a lot of those transdermal or intradermal devices might not work for you. I didn't name any name brands, but things like Nexplanon. Okay, if you keloid, that might not be the best option. Okay. Things like some of your patches and rings might not be the best option if you have some kind of epidermis type of inflammatory condition. Okay. Because your body may put up a protective barrier against the hormones entering your system, even along your cervix, like things like the Nuvo ring. Okay. Because your body has those epithelial cells on they may react, right? They may react when it gets introduced to certain chemicals. Also, this is a really good opportunity for those of you who want to use the barrier methods like condoms, to get something that's chlorhexidine gluconate free. Okay, because chlorhexidine gluconate is the ingredient that some of you may be allergic to, or some of your partners may be allergic to, and not the latex itself. So companies like Sustain and Lola, some maybe your more um, clean or ethically responsible condom brands, they definitely eliminate that ingredient. So that's something that you ladies need to be looking into and stocking up on. Even if you're not active at this time, just do it, because I'm going to tell you these recalls are going to be here. Um, these recalls for these pills, these supply chain issues, it's definitely going to affect the birth control system. And now you're talking about legislation making it not available. So I just want to let you ladies know, just be prepared. Okay. Typically, I can honestly say, Black women, you've been proactive when it comes to wanting to take care of your reproductive health. So this is just going to be one of those examples. Also, they're going to start spreading out the time for pap smears and mammograms, right? They're gonna be like, oh, you don't need one every year, or every 3 years, or every 5 years, every blah, blah, blah. Be insistent. Be insistent upon getting them every year. And if your insurance or Medicaid doesn't cover it, be prepared to pay out of pocket, look into flex spending options to make sure that you can get one every single year. Because again, we're very, very marginalized when it comes to reproductive cancers and our reproductive health. And a lot of the testing that you ladies may want, they might not offer to you, or may not, or it just might not be covered. So you may want to fight back and forth with your insurance company to get those referrals to make sure that stuff is covered. And you're going to need time to do that. So definitely make those things happen right now, happen right. So be proactive about it, because we don't really know what this legislation is going to do. So that's why we need to be proactive now. I mean, in fact, I went and I made my appointment like right away. And even though like I don't have children, I mean, even though I'm done having children and I'm no longer needing it because I've chose a surgical option, but yeah, I still have to make sure I protect my reproductive health, because believe it or not, a lot of these facilities that count on termination as their main source of funding, they may be closing or offering limited services because, screenings for other issues. So again, ladies, you just maybe want to get those appointments right now. You may want to start talking to about working with self-pay options right now. You may want to apply for affordable health insurance coverage now. You may want to start getting on those waiting lists now. You want to start building up and stocking up your supply on some of your hormone or non or hormone free things, like if you do have flex spending at your job, you might want to sign up for it and then really just start stocking up on things like um, contraceptive foams, jellies, anything that you can do to protect yourself. Um, you know, from what I understood, we were heading towards, I didn't say the name brand in the last video. We're heading towards Phexxi being on the market, right? Phexxi being available over the counter, right, at an affordable rate, which is like a lactic acid supplement, which is not a chemical spermicide, but it's a lactic acid supplement that could kill certain bacterias as well as sperm and then protect you from pregnancy. Now, that's going to involve you ladies taking into consideration your health hygiene practices and keeping your pH in balance. So, as much as we all love and rave about Honey Pot and Sweet Cookie and Kitty Candy, all those companies that Black women have started for Nani Pearls and all those great companies that Black women have started in order to help us with our feminine hygiene and maintain our natural pH balance, you really have to find the right one. Okay. And this is the time to do that. This is time to find the right one. If you might be allergic to candula leaf, which is a major ingredient in honey pot. You might not do very well with rose water, which is a major ingredient in sweet kitty, or coconut oil, which is a major ingredient in some of the Pangea washes, right? So, ladies, this is the time to find out which one works best for you. Okay. I know blackandgreen.com. It's a great marketplace. It's one of the um, content creators who I felt you ladies should follow. They have so many natural options for women for feminine hygiene, and vaginal pH is going to be a huge issue for those of you, especially who want to go hormone free with your birth control. So y- you want to find the right product with the right ingredients. I think even Uppity Unicorn, shout out to her, had talked about um, even just things that you put in your bath water that can help you with your own personal pH. And I think I left a link in my community tab too about her videos about um, anti-inflammatory bath, antibacterial and antifungal bath that still don't alter your pH. So yeah, um, shout out to her with that. So ladies, and gentlemen in the chat, this is just a real call for you to watch out for your health. It's a real call for you to watch out for your health. Um, because, and I do know that I've been looking through my email because I know a lot of you ladies have had an interest in talking about the estate planning live. And man, my email was such a mess. Oh my gosh. I even found out I got email from other content creators. Um, yeah, and it just ended up in my junk mail. But I mean, we really do have to talk about a little bit more about estate planning and how we want to be taken care of in the days when we become chronically ill. And it's because this whole thing with the suited content creator, it took everybody by surprise. 56 is relatively young. That's relatively young. That's at at least what? It's almost 20 years younger than the irregular male American life expectancy, because I think the average American male dies closer to 74 or 75. Um, and here, 56, a massive heart attack, and lived alone. So there was nobody there to call 911 when he hit the ground or to drive him to the doctor when he first started feeling the crushing shoulder pain or perform CPR when he hit the ground. So really, ladies, I mean, this is a call for all of us to take our health way more seriously. So thank you, ladies, for listening, and gentlemen. Um, and I really didn't want to seem insensitive in my last live and insensitive in my community tab by recommending a movie, because I just really just went out on a date night and not, I mean, I did hear about it and it was a rumor, and I had said something very similar to another platform like, hey, it's time to start taking our health more seriously, because it was a rumor at the time. And I didn't want to seem insensitive, by just posting like date night advice. I didn't want to seem insensitive to my community tab. Last thing I wanted to do, because I know this is a very polarizing issue in our community. But yeah, we had this plan for like almost over a week now, and we just still went, and we had a great time. It was a great movie. I suggested it was very funny. I think that older millennials and Gen Xers will probably appreciate it a lot more. So again, ladies, I just want you to prioritize women that are here in the chat. Please prioritize your health at this point, and be very insistent and be very demanding, and also start cultivating your support system around your health. Please cultivate your support system around your health. This is